Strap in, feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hair pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lane. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 4D, 4D. It's different. Yeah, that's winning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. You've got Murph, you've got Andrew Wood, and we'd like to welcome you to Round 6 of the 2026 Area 51 IndyCar Series, the oldest continuously run IndyCar league in iRacing. And Andrew, tonight we are at the concrete confines of the Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, Murph, good to be with you. And this is actually my first time watching a race at Nashville Superspeedway. I've managed to miss all the previous iterations of it, so I have no idea what to expect tonight. I've only raced this track, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times in this car ever. So this is going to be kind of an adventure, and hopefully I could just get a glimpse of what these drivers are going through tonight and give the best sort of opinions that I can here. Last time I raced this car actually was in the IR05. In the Classic IndyCar Series, and that car is so different and behaves so differently to what these drivers are dealing with tonight. So I'm going to assume that it's going to be a little bit of a dirty air fest, but it could be a little bit different based on what the temperatures are.
So Nashville is very interesting. It's a 1.33 mile oval, shaped very similar to Michigan or Fontana, but it is much shorter. It races very much like a giant phoenix in that it is very fast, but it is very difficult to pass. There is only one real true line here, and the marbles on the outside of the course make it very, very difficult. Make it very difficult to make any sort of a run stick. The other thing, Andrew, at this track in particular, is that you are going to be in trouble with understeer coming off of corners. You almost want to knock down the wall coming off of turns 2 and 4.
Well, we saw that with Scott McLaughlin, for example, in the real-life IndyCar Nashville finale last season. But I do remember that a lot of people had a lot of trepidation going to this track because it does seem very one lane and you can't really get good runs on the outside because of how the track is banked and everything like that. But honestly, the last 2 times that the real-life IndyCar drivers have shown up at this track, it's put on some fantastic racing. And I imagine that these guys tonight are going to want to do something similar. So perhaps your predictions of marbles and finding certain runs in certain places may not pan out that way, but we'll have to see what happens. And I'm actually very, very excited to see how this race plays out, and I'm going to be watching very closely to see what lanes work, what lanes are more favorable, less favorable, and see if there's any sort of fuel save possibly that could go on here, because we know that that's what this series is all about, and it's proven to give us a different winner in every race this season.
It has indeed. We're going to follow that number 70 car, that is Richie Hearn, as he goes out onto the speedway. Richie Hearn, former real-life IndyCar driver. We'll let him give you the tour of Nashville. While we talk about points, we are 5 races into the season. Kyle Clinworth leads 195 points to 190 for Ryan Kelly. Craig Forsyth is third, but he is a distance a ways back on 135, tied with Larry Yingling for third. Gary Lovern is fifth in the points on 130. Matt Wagner, Mason Mitchum, AJ Hobson, Kurt Rose, and Jeff Heisong round out your top 10. The race winners thus far, Clindy, Ryan Kelly, Craig Forsyth, AJ Hobson, and Sam Cosner have all won a race this year in Area 51. So 5 races, 5 winners. Are we going to see a repeat tonight, or are we going to make it 6 for 6?
Well, Murph, I was telling you last week that these races that I commented on P1 Broadcasting, I commented on 3 different series, and all 3 series right now have different winners in every race. So I'm going to just say we're going to keep this trend going, because there's nothing that's stopping me from breaking up the monotony of these league races here. So Nashville, like we were talking about before, has a little bit of a different feel to it. It's not your typical 1.5 mile speedway, your 1 mile speedway, anything like that. So I think that someone's going to put up a different strategy. And I know Matt Wagner, for example, is really, really knocking on the door for a win here. And I'd really like to see him pull one out after a couple of heartbreakers earlier in the season.
Absolutely. We do have our old buddy Christopher. He's on the front row provisionally. Richie Hearn starting 3rd. Shane Coker starting 4th. Larry Yingling provisionally 5th on the grid. So we've got some chances up there for a new winner. Just to give a bit of history about IndyCar at this track as we close out qualifications, Matty Wagner goes to 6th quick. But just to give you a little bit of history here at Nashville with IndyCars, they were the opening customer here at the Nashville Super Speedway. Track opened in 2001, and IndyCars were the headliner here for a pretty long time. The track eventually fell on some financial hard times. IndyCars moved to the street race downtown Nashville. They are back at the Super Speedway now. It is now owned by Speedway Motorsports, the same outfit that owns Charlotte, Atlanta, Bristol, and so on. The track record here, 22.9685 miles an hour. That is set by Sam Hornish way back in 2003. It is the outright track record. For us here, we're not going to quite get to that fast. We're close, but maybe not quite. On the pole with a lap of 23.766, that translates to 196.994 miles an hour. It is Ryan Kelly. On the outside pole, Christopher with a lap of 196.9472. Richie Hearn, Shane Coker will make up row 2, and there's Richie and Shane. Larry Yingling, Matt Wagner, row 3. AJ Hobson will start 7th alongside Kyle Clinworth in 8th. Eric Peterson and Gary Lovern, they're going to go from 9th and 10th. In 11th, it is Charles Teed and Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell, Nicholas Stockner, 13th and 14th. Bill Burrell, Jeff Heisong, 15th and 16th. Mason Mitchum, Craig Forsyth, 17th and 18th. Brian Greenlee and Joseph Morales, they're going to round out the top 20. Everybody from Mitchum on back did not set a qualifying time. Gael Brooks, Kurt Rose, and Bill Colley are going to round out your 23-car field here tonight at Nashville.
Last week, Murph, we saw the Votive guys really come forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it is the Votive trio that was locking out the podium, and 2 of those 3 guys had not. Actually, no, 2 of those guys did win a race already, and 1 had not, and that's Mason Mitchum. So I'm wondering if Mason Mitchum is going to have a little bit of a redemption tour, and if he can put his way right on the top step of the podium there, that would be a really, really great back-to-back race for that team.
Absolutely. Do want to welcome everybody joining us from the Indy Next Oval Top Split that just finished up at Richmond. Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around for the Area 51 Round 6 from Nashville. You've got Murph and you've got the Catalyst, Andrew Wood. Andrew, a far better racing car driver than I am. And so we're lucky to have him in the commentary booth. We're doing that same sort of thing where they lag way back, Andrew, from the pace car. The pace car is already off nearly through turns 3 and 4. The field has just entered turn 3.
That seems to be the new trend here in Area 51, where we're going to let the pace car get a little bit away before we get ourselves going to start the race here. And I think that's, like we were mentioning, it has seemed to help that stack up factor. Let's see if it happens again.
Here we go. The field under the command of Ryan Kelly. Green flag is out, and Kelly immediately jumps into the lead in front of Christopher, Richie Hearn, and Larry Yingling.
Kyle Clemworth tried to be a little bit clever and do a Yari Brupacher type pass on the outside of Matt Wagner, and that window closed off very, very quickly there, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get that move done, but it's only lap one, and it's better to keep your car clean than to try and pick up a spot and risk doing something to your race and someone else's. So they continue on. Clemworth is actually going to try the outside again here.
He is going to try the outside. There is Clindy, and he has climbed to the high side on Matt Wagner. You got to be really careful about doing moves like that, Andrew. It's okay probably in the first few laps, but as these tires get some heat in them, making that high line work is absolutely going to be really treacherous. You got to be careful not to knock down the wall coming off of turn number 2, turn number 4. But Clindy gets the move done. Matty Wagner, he moves into 7th and immediately sets in on A.J. Hobson. And Clindy really is the only one in that high line, Andrew.
It's better to get that high line going now before the marbles start to set in, Murph. And yeah, like I was mentioning, that I'm a little bit unfamiliar with how the marbles set on this track, but up front, we do see that Ryan Kelly has conceded that lead to Chris Stouffer, and we have seen this out of Ryan Kelly a few times this season, starting way up front and dropping back a little bit, and then later on, as the tires start to wear, Kelly does sort of get his way back up there again. So I think Ryan Kelly is deploying the same strategy that he's used in previous races, and let's see if that pays off for him.
Well, we'll see, and it could be a bit of strategy, a bit of fuel-saving strategy. The fuel window, 35 to 45 laps, Andrew, and if you're able to go 45 laps on a tank of gas, you can cut out one pit stop. And so there already likely to be some fuel saving going on. I'll tell you who's not saving any fuel, though. It's this man we ride on board with, Chris Stouffer. I don't think he's ever saved a thimble full in his career.
Yeah, Murph, that's definitely one thing you want to pick up on here is that if you could do 45 laps on the first tank, that's one thing. But if that's the case, I feel like you do need other cars around you to help you get that 45 laps done. So if you're doing that, you have to make sure that there are cars around you that you're able to save fuel off of for the rest of the 2 stints remaining. So it's going to be difficult to do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see someone like Kyle Clemworth pull off a little bit of a fuel save like he and Mason Mitchum were trying to do last week, and that could pay off for them. But there's always that bloody caution that comes out right at the wrong time, and that hurt both of them last week early on in the race, and they were able to come back later on.
Well, and speaking of that, you and I were in a race Sunday night where the strategy at the front was go as hard as you can and hope that a caution bails you out. That race went caution free, and those cars that went hard at the beginning, they were stuck saving at the end. And they lost position, so it can cut both ways. Right now, you're watching the battle for second. Richie Hearn all over the gearbox of Ryan Kelly. This is the best battle on the track. A.J. Hobson, Shane Coker, and Kyle Clemworth also having a tussle. That's 5th, 6th, and 7th. Hobson has backed off a little bit, but he's running the low line. Shane Coker is up top, and Kyle Clemworth, he's just trying to shoot the middle there, Andrew.
Yeah, I think A.J. Hobson's another one of those drivers, like you were mentioning with Chris Stouffer, that fuel isn't really something of concern to him at the present time, and he is taking that low line there, that yellow line on the bottom there, but he does have something going on the outside here.
Whoa! And that's how close it gets coming off the corner. You have got to be careful if you're passing somebody on the outside, because just as quick as that door opens, Andrew, it can absolutely shut, and it almost shut on Kyle Clemworth. You were riding on board inches from A.J. Hobson. He makes it work, and Clindy gets 2 for the price of 1. He's up to 5th here, and he'll set sail after Larry Yingling.
It just shows that a lot of these drivers have trust in each other, racing on the high line, racing on the low line. They know that they will give each other some space where it's needed. If you have the run on the outside, you can get it done, and that's exactly what Clindy has done, and he's climbed, 3 spots now, I believe?
He has indeed. Kyle Clemworth started this race in the 8th spot. He is up to 5th, and that's huge on a track where it is very, very difficult to pass, and it's only going to get more difficult as the marbles start to accumulate in that high line that will not be as usable later on in the going as it is right now. But as long as somebody's up there like Clindy is, it keeps the marbles at bay, Andrew.
yes, the drivers that race that high line continuously will keep the marbles off that top line, and it will be raceable for anyone that wants to do it. And that's something that I feel like would make this race here at Nashville much more palpable for a double line race groove here. So I don't think it'll stay that way for the entire race, but for now, I think it's something to consider.
Most certainly is, and Kyle Clinworth is considering it. Last time through, 24,443. He is catching Larry Yingling as he climbs the outside. The purple lap, well, that's owned by Chris Stouffer at 24,094 thus far. So Chris Stouffer is the fastest car on the track. He is the leader. But Kyle Clinworth, he's going to go around the outside of Larry Yingling. Move Clindy up to 4th. Move Yingling back to 5th.
We were talking earlier in the race about how this track races a lot like Phoenix, and it's kind of showing that same characteristic right now, where you can possibly find that clean air on the outside. And like you were mentioning, as long as the marbles don't develop on the outside line there, that's something that we will have to keep watch on. But I do feel like Clendy is using a lot of fuel to get up and pick up these spots where needed. So I don't really know if a fuel save is something that he's considering right now. But we have seen yellow flags happen in all of these Area 51 races. So that's something to consider also when you're trying to go for a fuel save strategy.
It is. It would be very odd for one of these races to go caution-free. And what are the odds you decide to charge as we see Matty Wagner go around the outside of Shane Coker? What are the odds that you go for broke in 2 races within the same 4-day period and both of them go caution-free? That would be pretty unlikely. And so Clinworth is moving forward, but he's got about 1.9 seconds before he gets to Richie Hearn. Hearn is all over the back of Ryan Kelly. There you see it. We're going to hop on board with Richie Hearn. Look out his right eyeball. Kelly is going high. Hearn is on the bottom, so Kelly is actually leaving Richie Hearn the preferred line here.
Yes, but you carry so much speed on the outside line, and as long as that line continues to work, that's the best way to defend that position. Make the car go low and get underneath you, and if you can't carry that speed out on the exit of the corner, then it's really a way for a tactic that you can block that second-place position there. So he feeds Richie Hearn a little bit of dirty air there, falls back a little bit on the exit of turn 4, and they battle for another lap here.
They do indeed. If you're Richie Hearn, you need to get up there right under the rear wing of Ryan Kelly, coming off the corner, and deploy your hybrid to get past him. And that could be what Richie is doing. He's falling back. He's recharging the old battery, and he's going to make the move once he gets close enough to Ryan Kelly. Other battles on the speedway. Eric Peterson is now right under the rear wing of Matty Wagner. He has passed Shane Coker and Gary Lovern. Eric Peterson is moving toward the front. I had occasion to talk with him before the race. He's moved up a spot he's moved up a spot from his initial starting position, and that's after he fell back at the start. So Peterson moving forward one more time. You can see Wagner high, Peterson low. I wouldn't count out Eric Peterson. He's a Charger too.
It's definitely going to be one of those just go high and hope that line works out for you, especially when you're running that far back and you see everyone pulling away ahead of you. It's going to be imperative that you make the best pit stop possible. And right now it looks like we're heading towards a green flag pit stop here. Hopefully that's the case. We haven't seen many of those in Area 51 this season. Let's see if we can get some green flag running here for these guys tonight. Ryan Kelly has definitely solidified himself more in second place, and this might be the time in the stint where it's like, okay, I saved enough tires. Now I need to actually go push. I've fended off Richie Hearn. Let's go get Chris Stouffer and make sure he doesn't have too far of a gap out front.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly was a 10th quicker the last time through, so he is coming. The reason we jumped on board of Chris Stouffer is that they are going to be pitting using the access road here, Andrew, and that can be very tricky. That is the flat surface there to your left. They're going to have to enter pit lane using that access road under green. And I tell you what, that is very slick. It is very treacherous. And it is almost universally a situation where we can see drivers make a mistake getting on and off pit road on those access roads. They are not easy to navigate.
Well, I think that's also giving a little bit more benefit to those drivers that can really push that entry onto turn 3. We see that at a couple tracks where you pit at turn 3 and you can maybe get a tenth or two advantage on the pit in and maybe possibly on the pit out as well as you're going around trying to rejoin the track on the back straightaway. So I like that that they're just committing to the turn 3 situation here for the pit stops, and that will make all the difference when trying to get the best advantage you possibly can.
I do as well. We've got a battle between Eric Peterson and Matt Wagner. Peterson drops the inside of Wags, but he gets a face full of dirty air from Larry Yingling, and Wagner is going to drive right back by him on the outside. Do want to thank everybody for joining in as we approach green flag pit stops. We did have a huge crowd for both the Indy Oval top split and the Indy Next top split, and they have stuck around, Andrew, for the Area 51 race tonight here at Nashville. So I want to thank everybody. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing action. We want to thank Jim Herrick and everybody at 40 Racewear for their sponsorship of the series. If you'd like some sim racing gloves, hats, shoes, other apparel, 40racewear.com has you covered. That's 40racewear.com for all of your sim racing apparel needs. I've got the shoes, I've got the gloves. I don't have a hat, Andrew, but what I really want is one of those rings. Have you seen those things?
I have indeed.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to have one of those, but you got to win the P1 600 or the Hoosier 500 to get one of those.
Looking back on this race now, I'm actually looking at I'm back here at P10, looking at Shane Coker and Gary Lovern. It looks like that high line might be starting to go away a little bit now, as Shane Coker is basically committed to it. He's running the high line the last few laps. Gary Lovern got underneath him, and now he's under fire from, I believe that's Wayne Campbell, if not mistaken, right behind. He tries the high line on Coker, but Coker now is kind of in an uncomfortable spot where he has to figure out where exactly he wants to go here. He takes the low line, and Campbell takes the high line, but Coker tried the high line last lap and wasn't able to really get any sort of advantage here. So that high line might be starting to go away just a little bit here as the tires start to wear.
It could, and one of the things about that high line is it does burn your right front just a little bit more than the bottom does, just because of the speed and the loading. Of course, we're rapidly approaching the pit window, and so tires may not be that big of an issue. Wayne Campbell is going to have the advantage on Shane Coker, and Wayne Campbell is going to go through Shane Coker, so move Wayne Campbell into the top 10, and there he is. Shane Coker goes back to 11th. It could be that Coker's tires are a little bit hot, or they're a little bit worn. Wayne Campbell's going to take advantage, and Mason Mitchum is 12th. And how about Mason Mitchum? Mitchum started this race 17th, so he's made up 5 spots, and he's starting to run down his boss.
That definitely is very interesting to see. I think Mason Mitchum has done a couple of these races now from the back, trying to prove that he can make his way through the pack, and perhaps that's maybe a goal that Mason wants to do here, is try and show that you don't have to start up front to finish up front. And it's very difficult to do such a thing, but if you're able to do it, that's much more rewarding than taking the pole and leading the most laps and doing all that kind of stuff. So we've seen Mason Mitchum finish on the podium a couple times this season, and perhaps it could line up for him yet again tonight.
Perhaps it could. I'd rather start on the pole, lead all the laps. I'd rather do what Chris Stouffer's doing. It's a lot less nerve-wracking.
I'm with you there.
I will say this. I like what Mitchum is doing here. He's letting off. He's shifting down into 4th gear, and he's kind of just rolling that bottom in the clean air where Shane
Stouffer looks like he might be doing his first pit stop now, lap 35.
There is Chris Stouffer. He is on the pit lane. He's coming in. So Chris Stouffer is headed down the pit lane, and we're going to cover the stop just to see where he comes out. He's definitely going to go a lap down, Andrew, but he is right at the earliest possible pit window. Mason Mitchum is going to join him on pit lane, but let's see what Chris Stouffer does here as he pulls into the pit lane, and I'm interested to see where he comes out. We have more cars coming into the pit lane behind. That would be Kyle Clinworth is going to hit pit lane. Gary Lovern also, Frank Irwin Jr., Eric Peterson, and there goes Stouffer. And again, just trying to see where Stouffer comes out here, Andrew. familiar number 13 for Chris Stover, Team 40 Racewear. He is back on the track, and he has lost nearly 2 laps. He's get passed by Guile Brooks there. Guile Brooks 16th, about a lap and 2/3 down. So you lose nearly 2 laps. That's going to promote Richie Hearn to the lead as he puts Mason Mitchum 2 laps down. So Mitchum did lose the second lap.
Well, so we saw the fuel savers from last race. The Clemworths and the Mitchums have decided this time that they're going to go for the early pit stop, and that's something that we predicted might happen, especially because a caution is so prevalent in these races that they do not want to get caught a lap down or get caught way behind here. So now we're going to have to see who makes it to lap 45, and right now it looks like we're going to have a mix of new tires and old tires racing together on track, which always could produce some situation where we might see a caution arise.
It could. It is worth mentioning Ryan Kelly got out ahead of Chris Stouffer. They are doing battle at the moment in heavy traffic. Stouffer gets past Ryan Kelly. Those two will be the leaders once everybody cycles through on the pit lane. Richie Hearn comes in, and he was very hot on that warm-up lane. Matt Wagner also coming toward the pit road. Lap 40, that's going to give the lead over to Brian Greenlee. So Greenlee will assume the lead of this race with 40 laps complete, beginning at lap 41, Andrew. He's the only one so far, Nicholas Stockner, Guile Brooks, Joseph Morales, that have not pitted. And Greenlee's coming to pit road.
Yeah, it looks like it's very, very difficult to reach that 45 number there, Murph. And I believe that if you're going to hit that number, you're going to need cars to save fuel off of anyway for the rest of the race. So it's very, very difficult to put yourself in that space. But if you could find a way to just make that last pit stop very, very short, that's probably the best way you can go about this from here. The drivers that did pit on 35 are going to have to do 3 pit stops and take on the extra fuel and tires and everything. So that's very, very interesting to see all the different pit strategies play out here. Even 5 extra laps just being on a fuel safe strategy could help you out down the road.
It is indeed. Stockner, Guile Brooks, and Joseph Morales have now all stopped. That is going to give the lead back over to Chris Stouffer. Ryan Kelly, Richie Hearn, second and third. Kyle Clinworth has moved into the 4th spot. So huge pickup one more time for Clindy in the pit stop exchange. He slipped past A.J. Hobson into that 4th position during the cycle. And for Stouffer, he was out to a 1.3 second lead before the pit stops began. Ryan Kelly trimmed that in half. After everything comes back all square, it's only a half a second.
I'm trying to see where the other drivers. So obviously, if you have pit late, you're going to come out way, way behind there. But like I was mentioning before, it could be something you can use down the road to possibly do like a fuel-only stop and maybe not take tires. But there's always the chance that strategy may have the door close on it if we see a caution at some point later on in the race.
Well, and speak on that, right? So Richie Hearn has 5 laps in hand on tires versus Chris Stouffer, 3 laps on Ryan Kelly, 4 laps on Kyle Clinworth. So what does that mean? It means that Richie Hearn essentially, if he goes 4 laps longer than Chris Stouffer at every turn, that's 16 less laps he's got to do on his final run, or 12 laps less he's got to do on his final run. Translation, Richie Hearn is going to be able to take 4 to 5 gallons less in terms of fuel. That gives him the option to do fuel only. It also means that if he does take tires, it is going to turn that 40 Racewear machine into a rocket, because as you know, Andrew, this car loves light fuel and new tires.
I think it's definitely advantage Richie Hearn right now, mostly because Chris Stouffer is in traffic right now as he goes around Bill Burrell. Looks like he clears that spot, but there was a period of time there where Stouffer was held up a little bit by the lapped car and not able to make the easiest move to get around him. But Richie Hearn does have those newer tires, and although the tires might equalize down the road slightly, if he's able to find a way to protect those tires and use them to his advantage now and not lose too much time to Stouffer, like is what happened in the first stint there, it's possible that Richie Hearn might just keep those tires fresher later on in the race, and he might get an advantage. And we did see him push that pit entry on the last go-round.
Well, and it could be, it may not show up now. Bill Burrell's going to get out of the way of Richie Hearn, who is one of his teammates there. But Hearn resumed station on the gearbox of Ryan Kelly. It's one of those things, Andrew, where, if I'm thinking about it, the effect of Hearn going those 4 laps longer, if he's able to do that each of the next 2 cycles, it may not show up now, but the effect of those extra laps is going to be cumulative at the end.
Yeah, Murph, you're absolutely right. It's going to play out later on in the race, but this is just kind of setting the table right now to have that strategy play out. And like we were mentioning before, if Stouffer is the first car that's A, going to encounter lapped cars, and B, be the first car to come down the pit lane every time, everyone's done one green flag pit stop now. So now the expectation is set of what gear you got to be in, how much brake you have to apply, especially the turn 3 entry. That leaves a little bit of the hands in the driver more than the actual the pit in, the pit out time. So I think that as long as Hearn keeps in contact with Stouffer and Ryan Kelly, that will play out later in the race. But we'll have to see what happens if he gains or loses ground later on in the stint as the tires start to equalize.
Absolutely. Riding on board Chris Stouffer, he has got Joseph Morales in front of him. And you see the telemetry for Stouffer as he navigates traffic. He's already 16 laps, so he's already 16 laps into his current stint, Andrew, and that's halfway. He's already halfway to looking toward his next stop. We would anticipate Chris Stouffer to be in somewhere right around lap 70. And he's got a comfortable lead. He's out there 0.7 of a second. Ryan Kelly, and we'll kind of go through the field here. Ryan Kelly is second. There he is. We'll leave the serial up so we can see where everybody started and where they are now. Richie Hearn is third. That's where he started. And he has been pretty loyally on the back of Ryan Kelly throughout the event. Kyle Clinworth is fourth. He's up 4 spots. There's Clindy, and I have a feeling we're going to see a battle for that third spot before too much longer. A.J. Hobson is fifth, and there you see A.J. Behind him, Larry Yingling is 6th. Eric Peterson is 7th. He's battling with Matty Wagner in 8th. Gary Lovern is 9th. And Mason Mitchum, up 7 spots, he is running along in 10th. Wayne Campbell, 11th. And then you've got to go a couple of seconds back to Shane Coker in 12th. Charles Teed in 13th. Frank Irwin Jr. in 14th. Brian Greenlee is 15th. And Kyle Clinworth has made the move on Richie Hearn, but Richie Hearn is going to come back. He's going to try to come back on the inside. Doesn't quite get it done.
Actually, it looks like Hearn basically let Clendy go down the front straightaway. I believe that there was a little bit of you have a little bit more overspeed on me. Let me just not battle you too much and lose the least amount of time as possible. And I believe Hearn did pit after Clendy as well. Hearn is the one with the freshest tires up front compared to the 3 now that are ahead of him. And Stouffer hasn't pulled away as much as he did in the first stint, so things might start to go a little bit more in the favor of the one that saves the tire the most, and that seems to be, at the moment, Richie Hearn.
Yes, he is. And I get a feeling that Richie might be saying, look, I know I've got an advantage on Clinworth in terms of tires. I'm going to let him go burn his stuff up. We'll see him later. Clindy does not know any speed other than go forward, go fast, go front, right? We call him Clindy Cindy for a reason, and Clindy is doing the Cindy. He's moved 5 spots from his 8th starting position up provisionally to the podium, Andrew, as we get close to that second round of green flag stops.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if Stouffer might consider an earlier pit stop, because look at the traffic that is up ahead of Stouffer. You have Kurt Rose, you have Craig Forsyth, Gail Brooks, Nicholas Stockner and Jeff Hysong that are all in a row right ahead of him, and that's going to be very, very difficult traffic to maneuver. So if I were Christopher and I was leading this race right now with not a lot of threat from behind, other than perhaps Ryan Kelly just briefly showing up in my mirrors, I would say, I do not want this dirty air. I'm going to have to take 3 pit stops anyway. Let me come in and get some fresh rubber and avoid all of this traffic. And Kelly might want to say, oh, I think Stouffer might come in early as well, so let me try and get the jump to get that lead back, which he did briefly after that first pit stop. So I'm very interested to see what happens here in the next 5 to 7 laps as they catch this traffic.
You know, something else to consider for Stouffer there, he doesn't want to pit too early because if he's going to make it in 35 lap runs, the earliest he can stop is 65. So he needs to complete lap 65 on this run. Otherwise, he's going to have to save some fuel. He doesn't want to do that. And he's got a couple of seconds up the road before he catches Kurt Rose, who is run along in 20th. Rose is 22.8 seconds behind the leader. Stouffer 24.428 last time through. That translates to about 1.6 seconds. So he's not quite there yet, and it may work out for Stouffer. It may work out for Christopher, Andrew, that he catches them right at the beginning of the window, so he doesn't lose all that much time.
This is the time of the race where you're starting to do that count backwards scenario that we all know so well from, let's say, Indianapolis, for example. We know we can do 35 laps by not really doing the forward counting, but the backwards counting. We do already see that Christopher is getting that dirty air from Kurt Rose up ahead. He and Ryan Kelly and Clendy all do 24.4s last lap. So all the leaders are running the same lap times. No one's really closing in on one another yet, but who is going to be the first one to blink here?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who the fastest car at the front of the field was the last time through. It was Richie Hearn by about half a tenth. 70 hundredths, actually, to put more of a finer point on it. Richie Hearn has begun to reel these leaders back in. Now, Clendy goes a little bit faster, and that's all down to traffic. And there you see Stouffer, then Kelly, then Clinworth, then Hearn in your picture. Right now, it's Chris Stouffer leading, and he is in that pit window. He has not yet come to the pit lane.
At this point, I think that Stouffer is probably thinking that, yeah, I'm keeping Ryan Kelly behind me at a decent clip. I don't really have to worry about it too much right now. Let me just see if I can get through one of these cars, because if I can get through one of these cars, that's another car that Ryan Kelly is going to have to go through to pick up that spot. Kurt Rose is starting to pull over a little bit here. Might give Chris Stouffer the bottom. That got very close there as Stouffer started to push up the track, but he has managed to maneuver his way by the first lap car here. But we're on lap 68 right now, and if we're going to go on the 35-lap strategy, Stouffer might come in at the end of next lap.
Yeah, he can come in any time now, and he's good to go to the end. But you're right. Now that he's got one car in between him, now Kelly gets around Kurt Rose. But now that he's got other lap cars that Rose has to fight, he might as well stay out there as long as possible. As long as you've got the lead, stay out, right? Because that's just the lesser fuel that you got to take at the end of the race. And he's pulling up on a teammate, Craig Forsyth, is Chris Stouffer. So that's at least good for Stouffer. He knows what Forsyth is going to do here. High, low, whatever else. He can also count on that teammate. I'm not going to say Craig is going to block for him, but I can definitely say that, he's not going to pull over as readily for Ryan Kelly as he would for his teammate there.
Well, we're on lap 70 now, and Stouffer stays out another lap. So perhaps there might have been even a little bit of fuel saving going on the last couple laps or so for him to get maybe one more lap in. And who knows, maybe Stouffer just decided to come in early on that first pit stop, and he can maybe make it 36 laps now. I would imagine this lap he's going to dive down to come in.
We said at the beginning, here he comes, 30. I called the window 35. Really, they can do 36 laps at full tilt. They'll run out on lap 37. So I'm told if they go full tilt. So that would have been 30. For Christopher, that would have been
36.
36. So right at that is what Kurt Stouffer did. or Christopher did rather, and he's brought his car to the pit lane. Ryan Kelly stays out, as does Clinworth, as does Richie Hearn, and they're going to continue to go probably until, I would guess, that's 35 now for Kelly. He's probably going to try to make it to lap 75. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Big crowd here for Area 51. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe so that you can get a notice every time we go live. And we do this pretty much every night of the week. Tomorrow night, we've got a double header. It is the Horizon IndyCar Series at the Oval Motegi, 8 o'clock, and the Formula Super Series from Road Motegi at 8:20. Both of those will be live right here on P1. Thursday night, we've got the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series from Circuit of the Americas. And then on Friday, the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. That's going to be live from the Charlotte Roval. Both of those races, 8:20 pre-race, not 8:35 start. Saturday is going to see the return of the 40 Raceware iRacing IndyCar Series live on P1. That's going to be at 1 Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, it's another doubleheader. The Classic IndyCar Series goes at 2. Where are they at this week, Andrew?
Montreal.
So Classic IndyCar Series is the IRO 5. That's the original IndyCar to iRacing. They're going to be running at Montreal at 2 o'clock. And then the nightcap is going to be the Dark Horse DW12 Series. They're going to run at 8 o'clock from Iowa. They have not decided the whether it's going to be new or old Iowa. We're watching Richie Hearn lead. Christopher just set the fastest lap. The difference on tires, by the way, Stouffer 24.037, Hearn 24.406, Wagner 24.502 in second place currently. So 0.4 of a second is the gain on new tires, in case you were wondering there. But Hearn now has caught Craig Forsyth, and he continues to circulate. I would suspect he's going to stay out until about lap 80.
I'm trying to see the as you're going through the upcoming races there, Murph. I noticed that Kyle Clemworth wanted to pit, but Ryan Kelly was in the way. So Clendy last second ditched the pit entry there and went one more lap. He was able to maneuver his way around, and that actually paid off because now Clendy is ahead of Ryan Kelly. And as we expected, you would hope that as you're the leader, you're trying to pit to get away from lap cars. But unfortunately, Stouffer has found himself right in the hornet's nest of a bunch of lap cars right now. He's got 3 lap cars between him and Kyle Clemworth. Richie Hearn is on the pit road right now. So this is kind of another notch in the belt for Richie Hearn to try and pick up a little bit more track position and pace on the cars that he was battling before. Let's see if he could do it, as the cars that he is battling with are in lap traffic.
They are indeed. Christopher races alongside Charles T. 19th. That is going to put him 1 lap down to leader Christopher. Brian Green, well, it'd be a lap down to 6th place Christopher. Brian Greenlee is your leader as he circulates through. He has completed 38 laps on his current run, Andrew. 80 laps down, and Greenlee is going to come to the pit lane. Guile Brooks is going to stay out one more. We got a car on the wall. It's Bill Burrell. No, it's not Bill Burrell. We have a car on the wall on the back. Caution is out. It is Craig Forsyth and Wayne Campbell. There was a car that turned suddenly to the left. Wayne Campbell and Craig Forsyth, both with the meatball. And let's see what has gone on. I saw the car turn hard left. Was it Forsyth or was it Wayne Campbell? We'll see. We're going down the backstretch. Forsyth appears to be coming to the pit lane. And that appears to me to be an equipment failure, Andrew. That car just turned hard right. Nowhere. And he does a great job trying to keep it up on the wall once it hits. And then Wayne Campbell just slides through and collects Craig. We'll see it from the roll bar of Wayne Campbell.
Yeah, and I have learned that, unfortunately, you're right. Craig Forsyth did have a wheel come detached from its sitting position. So that is definitely a mechanical failure there on Craig Forsyth, which is very unfortunate. And we've all been there, Murph. We've all been in that spot where we feel like we have everything under control, and next thing you know, race is just over like that.
We have indeed big winners on this exchange. Big winner. How about Gael Brooks? Gael, the one of the Area 51 admins. You see the Area 51 on his car. Broadcasted this league for a long time on the Green White Checker Network. He decided he wanted to race. Put us in the booth. And Gael Brooks is going to come off with fresh tires in the 5th spot here.
Yeah, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles. We see these cautions, like we've mentioned many times before, Murph, right in the middle of these pit stop rotations. And that one shouldn't have happened technically if everyone had gotten out of pit lane safely and everything like that. We would have seen the green flag runs continue, but sometimes people just happen to get the benefit of that. And Gael Brooks and Nicholas Stockner, both of them actually come out ahead here.
They do indeed. So Gael Brooks is going to restart 5th. That is as high up as he has run all season. He had everybody pretty much behind him trapped a lap down, with the exception of Clinworth, Kelly, Hearn, and Hobson. Clinworth is going to be your leader. You see Coker and Teed going to take the wave around. They will get back on the tail end of the lead lap. There are lap cars in between Clinworth and Kelly. I believe that is Frank Irwin Jr. in between the two leaders. Richie Hearn is 2 more cars back, or 1 more car back of them, and I believe that is Jeff Heisong, who runs in between Kelly and Hearn. Hearn, though, has an advantage here. He's got 4 to 5 laps fresher tires than Clinworth and Kelly in front of him.
Yeah, this goes back to the later pit stop situation for Richie Hearn. He has managed to get an advantage by pitting later. Now he has fresh tires, and he's right in the view of drivers that pit before him. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to get by these lap cars to try and get back up there again. But if he can keep his tires fresh, this is extending that stint time and going to benefit him later down the road. I believe Brian Greenlee might be the best car on tires right now, just as he was on pit road right as the caution came out. So he got basically a free pit stop there and didn't go down a lap. So I think Brian Greenlee is the big winner here. Chris Stouffer, on the other hand, is way back in the field.
Yeah, Chris Stouffer would have been the big loser on that. He is 8th. He did come back in. Stouffer did get his lap back naturally, but he came back in and got new tires. Everybody and Stouffer has the black flag. Chris Stouffer got a black.
He managed to pass, I believe it was Kurt Rose, right before the start finish line.
Yeah, there you go. You see him. He drops below Kurt Rose, coming to the line, and by the wing end plate, Chris Stouffer is going to get the black flag for passing before the start finish line. Meanwhile, Clindy has raced out to the lead. The cars that stopped under that caution on the lead lap, Stockner, Brooks, Stouffer, and Stouffer's going to have to serve a drive-through. Larry Yingling, Kurt Rose, Matt Wagner, and Brian Greenlee were the cars that hit pit road under that caution. Clinworth, Kelly, Hobson, and Hearn did not stop. Clindy out 11 laps, Kelly 12, Hobson 11, Hearn 7 as we run it here at Nashville. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be with us for all of our iRacing broadcasts. You are watching the Area 51 IndyCar Series. It is the oldest continuously run IndyCar Series in iRacing, and you're following AJ Hobson as he tries to work around Jeff Heisong. That is a lapped car, and he gets past Heisong, and now he's going to have to chase down and pass Frank Irwin Jr. Richie Hearn drops to the inside of Heisong, and Hearn will let Heisong go. It is the oldest continuously run IndyCar series, and we've got yellow. It's Chris Stouffer. Chris Stouffer hard into the turn. I believe that is the turn 3 wall.
Oh no! We're going to take a look at this here, Murph, but I believe this was Stouffer trying to serve his penalty and did not hit the braking point correctly for the pit entry there. And unfortunately, Charles T was collateral damage here.
Yeah, let's watch. Christopher, Brian Greenlee very loose in the background coming off a 2. Looked like he might have had a little bit too much weight jacker in that car. Christopher is going to come down, hit the warm-up lane, and he's way too hot. He gets on the grass, and that car hooks up and it turns right as he tries to correct it. And poor Charles Teed, you're right, nowhere to go, gets clipped in the left rear. Teed goes for a wild ride and hits the outside wall. We'll jump on board and watch it from the vantage point of Charles Teed. You're looking out his right eyeball effectively as he comes down the back. And watch to the left side of your screen. You'll see the car dart off to the bottom. That's Stouffer. Through the grass, around she comes, and there's really nothing Teed could do. Just hope he misses you, right?
Yes, and when you're coming around at full tilt like that, and you see a car on the access road, you're never expecting that they're going to come back up into you again. So that it's just you're saying, okay, there's a car on the apron there, and then suddenly when you're driving, that same car is now hit you, and that's such an unnerving feeling, and something that again I mentioned in the last caution has happened to all of us. So not trying to discount that at all. That's a shameful way to exit the race, but it looks like we continue under another caution. The caution's precaution seems to carry over to Nashville here. We're going to have to see if possibly we could make this a fuel save race. I think we're a little bit past that now, but I believe anybody that from the back that wants to pit right now will find themselves in a situation where they only have to make one more stop.
It's going to be a hard save. They're going to have to make it 46 laps. Among the triers, Larry Yingling, Matt Wagner, Brian Greenlee have all pitted. Christopher is in his box under repair. They do get a fast repair here in Area 51, and so they may use that. Kyle Clinworth is your leader, and there he is. He is now in direct contact with Ryan Kelly in second, and there's Kelly. A.J. Hobson, again, direct contact with Kelly in third. Richie Hearn is fourth. Nicholas Stockner, and their Stockner is fifth. Behind them, Gael Brooks is sixth, and there is Gael. In the seventh spot, Shane Coker, giving the Votive Racing League machine a good run. He is seventh. Larry Yingling is on fresh tires. He's the first car on fresh tires in eighth. Matty Wagner is ninth in the track rocket. There he is. He also has freshies, as does Brian Greenlee. It is worth noting that Frank Irwin Jr. also has a black flag for speeding on the pit lane. Charles Teed has affected his fast repair. He is going to go back out 2 laps down, 21st. Christopher did not take his fast repair, and so Stouffer runs along. He is on the racing surface, but he still has a black flag, and he still has to serve that, Andrew.
Yeah, he didn't successfully enter the pit lane there at all, so he's still going to have to serve that black flag, and that's such a big penalty when you're under green flag conditions like this. If he had happened to get on the pit lane and then a caution happened to come out later, then that would have been a free way to get it done. But right now we're going back green, and we have guys that are at a place that felt like they had a really good race going, and now things have changed.
Yes, they have. Everybody files through the restart zone. And we'll see if they can safely navigate turn one. Everybody got single file pretty quick there, Andrew.
So if I'm not mistaken, Murph, I believe Frank Irwin Jr. got the lucky dog there. I know he and Jeff Haisong were battling the first car 1 lap down up at the front there. So I believe Irwin might be back on the lead lap again.
He is, but he also has a black flag, remember, speeding on pit road for Frank Irwin Jr. So he's going to get the black flag. He's going to have to serve a drive-through, and that's going to negate getting that lap back. Jeff Haisong will move to the first car 1 lap down as we watch Ryan Kelly, Kyle Clinworth, and A.J. Hobson do battle. The front three right on top of each other. Richie Hearn is the interested bystander riding along in fourth, and we're going to jump on board Richie Hearn so you can see what Richie sees. There he is.
Just going back to that battle for the 1 lap down, Gary Lovern is the car that is behind Jeff Haisong 1 lap down, and they are very, very close to one another battling on track. So possibly there could be a battle for that lucky dog should we get another caution period.
Yeah, there is Gary Lovren, and he sees the lucky dog right in front of him. That is Jeff Heisong, and he's got Eric Peterson immediately behind him, and so we're going to have a tussle over that spot. Remember Kurt Rose earlier? Kurt Rose had a bit of a kerfluffle earlier, kind of got shuffled back with the pit stop sequences. He's back on the lead lap in 11th, and he is the last car on the lead lap. So great job of recovery from Kurt Rose. There he is.
And he is up 11 spots as well, but not as much as the 15 spots from Kyle Brooks, 21st to 6th. And Brooks is hanging in there, just kind of in that single file pack. He's lost a couple spots along the way. He lost it to Jeff. He lost it to Gary. He lost it to Eric Peterson and Mason Mitchum. But Kyle Brooks is hanging in there, and he is your biggest climber of the race thus far.
Yeah, there he is. Started 21st. He is currently 6th. That is a heck of a drive from Gael Brooks. And I hate to take away from him, but we are fixing to have a battle at the front of this field. Kyle Clinworth has a fierce challenge now from Ryan Kelly behind him. A.J. Hobson is right there in third, and Richie Hearn has made contact with the back of this four-car train. They're going to do battle for the lead, Andrew.
Yeah, they're very, very close together here, these top four, and I'm almost wondering if we're deploying some sort of fuel save here, not to make it to the end of the race, but to make their last pit stop a little bit shorter. As long as Clendy thinks he can hold Ryan Kelly behind him and these other cars that are fiercely battling behind him as well, that could be a good, interesting way to say, hey, I'm very, very confident on my pit in and pit out. Let's make my pit stop as short as possible here to make it to the end of the race.
Richie Hearn dove to the inside of A.J. Hobson, got a face full of dirty air from Ryan Kelly, and had to abort the pass. This is one of those tracks where you almost need to make the move to the outside, Andrew, not the inside if you're going to make it, just because of that effect of the air coming off the cars in front. Richie Hearn lost a ton of momentum with that. Ryan Kelly gained a ton of momentum from the draft of Kyle Clinworth, and he is all over the back of that 37.
I can only imagine that Kelly is in the great spot right now to regen that hybrid on one part of the track while staying in the draft and able to deploy it to battle for that lead position there. And Ryan Kelly is the closest. This is the closest battle we've seen for the lead all race, Murph. And right now the pit window also is open to make it to the end of the race. So I wonder if someone's going to do a short pit here, or if it's all about keeping yourself on the lead lap to make sure that you don't lose that lap, and you also will have that shortened pit stop at the end.
The first candidate to come down pit road would be Shane Coker. He runs along in 6th, and there's Shane. He has been out 30 laps on his current run. The leaders, and there you see it, 26 laps for Clinworth, 27 for Kelly, 26 Hobson, 23 Hearn, 20 Stockner. They're all going to have to stop again. If I'm looking at pit strategy, I'm looking at Larry Yingling, Matt Wagner, Brian Greenlee, and Kurt Rose. Kurt Rose came back in and topped off before the end of that caution. He's going to make the bid, try to be the one to make it 45 laps on a single tank of fuel. His lap times show that he's trying to make it. He's a half a second off the pace, but if he can nurse that tank home, it's not going to matter, Andrew.
Who are we talking about, Larry Yingling there?
No, we'd be talking about Kurt Rose.
Kurt Rose.
Yeah, he came back in and topped off at the end of that last caution. He is a half a second off the pace of the leaders. I assume running around in map 5, nursing the fuel, and let's jump on board with him. And you can hear him way off the throttle. He's not even getting into 5th gear, Andrew. I mean, he is really just kind of stroking along, nursing the fuel. But hey, if he doesn't have to stop again, he's in the catbird seat.
Well, that's something that you do when you're outside the top 10 and on a track that's almost impossible to pass. There's no way that Kurt Rose is going to pass 10 cars to get to the lead, so why not try something a little bit different? I like the strategy call, and the best part of doing a strategy call is committing to it right away. And if he's able to commit to it right away and make it work, that is going to be quite a good end to this race should he pull it off.
You know, he might need to pick up the pace.
We have a car damage on the
Matt Wagner,
Frank Irwin Jr. and Matt Wagner. Yes.
Yeah, let's go back and see what's happened to Matty Wags and Frank Irwin Jr. He is off the racing surface, so that will not trigger a yellow. He just ran up on the back of Frank Irwin Jr. Both of them got a little bit squirrely. Frank Irwin Jr. taps the outside wall, comes back across, and Matty Wagner, he does his best Mark Murphy impression, gets it airborne for a few moments, slides to a stop. Both of those vehicles, hard impact for Frank Irwin Jr. into the inside wall. We'll show that one more time. But no yellow light because both of those cars off the racing surface, Andrew.
I'm actually a little concerned for Kurt Rose now. Sorry to jump off that strategy. He has now been lapped, and his lap times have dropped by over 2 seconds. So he's committing to a fuel-safe strategy, but it's not going to be a winning one unless he can pick up the pace a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're going to make that work, you've got to keep up with the pack, or at least make it reasonably close enough. You're going to lose a lap and a half.
Oh, Brian Greenlee sideways on the apron, trying to enter the pit lane there. He saves it somehow, but we're starting to see the takers for pit lane. I think it's going to be a whirlwind of cars that are going to come down pit lane now. No one wants to give up the new tire situation.
Yeah, nobody wants to be giving up the time. Here's the situation that nearly caused Andrew Wood's latest heart attack. Brian Greenlee saves it. He is on pit lane, and we are about to see wholesale pit stops. Next candidates, Kyle Clinworth and Clindy is coming to the pit lane now. Hobson will be next. Richie Hearn still has a couple of laps before he has to hit the pit lane. And then Nicholas Stockner should be in about 4 or 5 laps after that. So too Gael Brooks. Larry Yingling has 7 more laps in the tank than Gael. So he may be one that does fuel only for Larry. That would be Larry Yingling. The other 2 cars that were on that strategy just crashed into each other. Matt Wagner, unfortunately, on the pit lane, and so he's not going to be able to complete that, but we're all waiting on Hobson, Hearn, and Stockner to make their stops as Clindy comes back out on the track 1 lap down. It is only the top 5 in the lead lap.
It looks like actually I'm trying to follow the Kurt Rose strategy here, and Clendy has come out ahead of where Kurt Rose is running on track. So I'm wondering if there's something wrong with the car or something with Kurt Rose that it's not a fuel save. Something just seems to be wrong with that car that he's not able to keep up. So Kurt Rose is out of it for now. These drivers are really going to try and pull off some sort. It's going to be who pits at the right time at the right moment, gets the in lap, gets the out lap, and gets the freshest tires. And I mean, Clendy was the first one to bite really after the initial Brian Greenlee pit stop there. So as long as Clendy keeps it on the road and manages to get it out ahead of everyone else, it's looking really good for him right now. Would be our first repeat winner if that's the case.
So Clindy did come out behind Kurt Rose about 3 seconds. Rose is still much slower than everybody around him. 26.148 for Rose, 24.486 for Bill Burrell. In 11th, Ryan Kelly, 23.8, Clindy 23.9. So he is going to be rapidly gobbled up, and already Ryan Kelly is through. So too goes the lap machine of Charles Teed. And there's Clindy, and Kurt Rose just sticks to the bottom. He's letting everybody go. And I'm with you. That's not fuel saving. That's there's a problem on that machine. Richie Hearn is staying out though.
I'm actually a little bit concerned with Kurt Rose's pace right now. If he comes off a corner a little too slow and someone comes up very, very quick on these new tires, that could spell calamity too. So I wonder if anyone is keeping an eye on that to make sure that he's not driving too slow to be a danger around the track. It doesn't seem that that's the case, but it only takes one hiccup or expectation of someone to move out of the way somewhere, and next thing you know, we see another caution, and that would be calamity for these drivers that are in the middle of this pit stop rotation right now.
Yeah, speaking of calamity, Matty Wagner checks into the chat. He says he was good to the end, but foiled. He wishes everybody good luck and hopes they have fun. But my goodness, if he was good to the end, he's got to feel pretty shattered at this point. To get caught up in a situation that really wasn't his own making. Richie Hearn continues, he is bound to stop at any time. The lap times are good for Hearn. He's really running about the same pace as Clinworth and Kelly, and so, why not stay out, run it to the end? Hearn is not in traffic at the moment. You look off the front of his car, there's nobody there. You might as well stand on it, Andrew.
Well, I think a caution right now is something that Guile Brooks is hoping for. He did it last time. He was able to stay out and pick up all those spots by outrunning everyone on the tank. And if a caution comes out right now, he picks up all the spots all over again, and everybody else gets trapped a lap down. Shout out to Nicholas Stockner as well. We were talking about him last week. A couple of unfortunate races for Nicholas Stockner, but he's managed to be on an alternate strategy similar to that of Richie Hearn and Guile Brooks. And he's now sitting, actually just took the lead.
There you go. Richie Hearn's going to hit pit lane, and that is going to put Nicholas Stockner in the catbird seat. There you see the lap since they last pitted. Stockner in the 124, Guile Brooks in the 71. Both have yet to pit. Here comes Nicholas Stockner, and that's going to turn the lead over to Guile Brooks. And Guile Brooks, when he comes by, if the caution flag comes out, he is going to be catatonic because he will be the only car, along with Larry Yingling, on the lead lap. Yingling, I suspect, and there's Guile Brooks. Larry Yingling, I suspect, right behind Guile, is going to try to make this on the fuel at hand. He's 33 laps out. He's got 12 to go. He may be trying to make that 45-lap run as Guile Brooks. That is not Guile Brooks. That was Gary Loven, rather. I thought Guile was going to hit pit lane, but I think Larry Yingling may be trying to make it here. Or if not, it's a splash and go.
I would say it's very, very close for Larry Yingling, and at this point, you made your bet, right? You got 12 laps to go, just like you said. It's time to just make sure your strategy is the one you're going to stick with. If you lose a bunch of spots, it was a valiant effort, but you did the best you could. Guile Brooks, the same thing. He's been out, I don't know how long, Guile Brooks. It seems like I've never seen him in the pit lane this entire race right now, but I imagine he's going to be coming in at some point soon. Actually, I believe he's coming in this lap here, so that's the end of Brooks' dream. Larry Yingling does not look like he's coming in. So you're right, Murph. I think he might be trying to do something here.
He may be. I want to see what Guile Brooks does as he hits the pit lane. Is he going to go gas only? He would only need about 4 gallons, or is he going to change the tires also? But Guile Brooks on the pit lane, does he just hook up and take 3 seconds of fuel, or does he do the full stop? He's going to come to rest. Does the car go up on the jacks? It does. So Guile Brooks is going to take fuel. That's going to put us back with Larry Yingling. And Yingling now with 10 laps to go, does he have enough petrol in the old tank to make it home, or is he going to come in and do a splash? We're going to find out right here on P1. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you too can get in on all of the iRacing action. You are watching the area of...
I'm sorry, Murph. They were 3 wide coming off turn 2 last time around, and that was almost a huge pileup. Kalendi is trying to sit through the pack there. Joseph Morales seemed to be stuck in the middle of the track, and AJ Hobson and Kalendi had no idea where to go. Hobson has made it past Kalendi now, so this is the second strategy just completely flipped over because there was a slow car just coming off turn 2 there.
Yeah, we're going to go back and watch that action. You've got Kalendi, Hobson, Kelly, and Hearn. They've been 1, 2, 3, 4 in varying orders. They've got the car of Kurt Rose on the bottom, Morales on the top, and Kalendi is going to get checked up as those cars go too wide. It was a speed differential thing. As you said, Kalendi goes way high, kicks up the dust. I don't think he hit anything. Hobson, hyper aggressive, shoots the middle. Kalendi goes to the top, as does Kelly and Hearn. Briefly, it was 4 wide, and we have a caution on the speedway. That is Bill Burrell. It is not Bill Burrell. It is Nicholas Stockner. Stockner with the meatball. So that was one of our contenders. Meanwhile, Larry Yingling had just pitted, and he took only a splash of fuel. Stockner on the outside. He's got Mason Mitchum and Eric Peterson alongside and behind. We going to get a little wheel banging action here, Andrew, or is it just marbles? Let's see. Contact.
We keep talking about that high line, Murph, and you mentioned it before that the high line is the way to make the passes here. Mason Mitchum did not take the high line; he took the low line there, and you called it on the high side. The high side is the best way to keep your line around the corner. Once you dive low, it's very, very easy for the car to push up mid-corner, especially if you overspeed on the way in. So I call that a racing deal. I think Mason Mitchum thought he probably had his car set up to do that dive on the inside just right, but unfortunately that's another sad ending for Nicholas Stockner.
It is indeed. We'll reset the field for you. We're going to get the green flag, I would think, with 4 laps to go. Hobson, your leader, from his 7th starting spot. Clindy is 2nd. He started 8th. Richie Hearn, he's right where he started in 3rd. Ryan Kelly is 4th. There he is. Larry Yingling is 6th. He had just hit pit road for his splash and go when the yellow came out. Larry Yingling has got to be disappointed because that would have been a 3 to 4 second advantage for him. Gael Brooks, I guarantee you, is jumping up and down in that car in 6th. Brian Greenlee is 7th. There's Brian Greenlee. Nicholas Stockner has come to the pit lane, affected his fast repair. He will come back out in 9th. And Kurt Rose gets the lucky, or in 8th rather, Kurt Rose gets the lucky dog. He's going to be 9th. And those are your lead lap runners as we get down to decide it here at the Area 51 Round 6 race at Nashville Superspeedway. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in if you haven't already done it. Make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get in on all of the iRacing action. Tomorrow it's a doubleheader, the Horizon IndyCar Series at 8 from Twin Ring Motegi Oval, the Formula Super Series at 8:20. They're going to be live from Twin Ring Motegi Road. As you see Joseph Morales come into pit lane. Thursday and Friday, it's the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series on Thursday, the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series on Friday, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 race start. At 1 p.m. on Saturday, we've got the iRacing IndyCar Series presented by 4D Racewear. They go at 1 p.m. from Sebring, and we never did decide, Andrew, what our bet was for the iRacing IndyCar Series.
Yes, you're right. We have not, but we'll discuss that off air.
We will decide. There will be a friendly competition between Andrew Wood and I for the iRacing IndyCar Series. Again, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday at 2 o'clock, you've got the Classic IndyCar Series from Montreal, the IRO5s. And then Sunday night, it'll be the DW12s with the Dark Horse DW12 Series at 8 Monday. We're back with the IndyCar Open Top Split, the season finale. That happens at 7, followed by the iRacing Indy Next Series, the road course version. They'll be at 9. And then the finale of the IndyCar Oval Series, 7:15 on Tuesday, 8:30 for the finale of the Indy Next Oval Series. And we will be right back here in 1 week's time for round 7 of the Area 51 IndyCar Series. And next week, Andrew, we get to go to Kansas as A.J. Hobson hits the loud pedal, and he streaks away from Kyle Clinworth. Ryan Kelly did not get a good jump, and he is in all sorts of trouble from Gael Brooks, Larry Yingling, Nicholas Stockner is involved, and Brian Greenlee. They're all over the back of Ryan Kelly. Stockner dives to the inside of Yingling.
Someone was a map 8 there, I'm afraid, Murph. That's the only thing that I could think of. Someone didn't go, and there was that checkup right around where Gael Brooks was. I don't know if it was him or Ryan Kelly that had it. Another thing, as you were mentioning the schedule there was a lot of the shifting around. I know that with 10 laps to go or less, all the lap cars go to the back, but Larry Yingling got shuffled back as well, and that was a bit of confusion as well. But everyone managed to get away with it, and we have a 3-horse race out front right now.
Yeah, we do. Kyle Clinworth all over the back of A.J. Hobson. He's going to swing it to the high side. A little less than 2.5 miles to go. Richie Hearn sets the fastest lap, and then Ryan Kelly says, I think I'd like to go faster. So Kelly with the purple lap as Clindy goes to the outside. We've got a battle for the lead.
Coming to the white flag. It's going to have to be done on the outside, Murph. You're absolutely right. That's how this is done. And whoa, there goes a front wing.
Yeah, Clindy lost the front wing. He lost the front wing. He's in the wall, and that's going to leave it up to Richie Hearn and A.J. Hobson. Clintworth falling back. Ryan Kelly goes to third. It is a two-horse race between Hearn and Hobson. Hearn closes in through turns 3 and 4. Does he have enough steam to come off the corner and get the flag? He does not. A.J. Hobson is going to be your winner. Richie Hearn second, Ryan Kelly third, Larry Yingling fourth. We've got cars all over the place spinning, coming to the flag that I believe was Charles Teed, Bill Burrell. They have black flags. Joseph Morales, I believe, was involved. Gary Lovern, Charles Teed, they're involved. Kurt Rose has a meatball. Kyle Clinworth winds up 9th. He didn't even make it to the line. There he is. We're going to watch Clindy's last lap because this is pretty wild, Andrew.
I think someone got taken out in turn 3. I think it was Clendy. I think it was the front wing issue from Clendy that set it off there.
Yeah, he's just trying to make it home. Larry Yingling comes through and clips him. Clindy hard into the wall. He gets Lovern, Peterson, and Highsong, then Mason Mitchum as he spins out of control. And from there, it's on. Mitchum, Highsong, they're going to get through. And look who goes through unscathed. It's Guy L. Brooks. How about that from Guy L. Brooks? We've got to get.
What a finish there. You have to watch that one.
Yeah, we need to go back and just see what Guy L sees for his final tour here at Nashville in a 7th place run. Watch from on board Guy L. Brooks here. He's going through turn 2, and you're going to see a pink and a magenta and black car up on the top going through turn 3. It's going to become it's going to become unstuck from the racing surface. There's the contact. You see it 3 wide. There goes Clindy into the wall. And watch Guy L. Brooks. He goes high. Yep, there's a car on the wall. He goes low. Standing on his brakes, Guy L. Brooks is going to finish 2nd. My goodness. Or finish 7th. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, I think Mason Mitchum was the car you saw up in the wall there. That's one car that we may have missed in this calamity here. We saw Gary Lovern get collected, and then we saw Brian Greenlee, I believe, also had a little bit of damage, but I think he crossed the line. But Joseph Morales got collected. Mason Mitchum got collected. A little bit unfortunate finish to that race. We were not expecting that after having those green flag pit stops early on in the race, but A.J. Hobson managed to just strike while the iron was hot there with those lap cars and caught Clinworth completely by surprise there. And those are those opportunities that just get gifted to you, and you have to take advantage when you get them.
You do indeed. A.J. Hobson is going to become our first repeat winner here in the Area 51 IndyCar Series for the season. He beats Richie Hearn by 73 thousandths of a second. Ryan Kelly, your points will be your points leader. He comes home in 3rd. Larry Yingling 4th, Nicholas Stockner 5th, Brian Greenlee, Guy L. Brooks. What a run for Guy L. Brooks. He's going to finish 7th. Kurt Rose nurses at home 8th. Kyle Clinworth is 9th. Final car on the lead lap. In 10th, Eric Peterson 1 lap down. In 11th, Mason Mitchum, Joseph Morales 12th, Jeff Highsong 13th, Gary Lovern is 14th. Bill Burrell will finish 15th. Wayne Campbell, Charles Teed, Bill Colley, Shane Coker round out your finishers. Matty Wagner out of the race he'll be credited with 20th. Frank Irwin Jr. 21st, Chris Stouffer 22nd, and Craig Forsyth 23rd out of the race. And let's see if we can't find us a driver or two, Andrew. Holy Moses. All right, let's bring him on up. Ryan Kelly, you've got Murph, you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
I'll tell you what, that was a wild final couple of laps. Tell us what you saw and what your plan was, and if tell us what you saw, what your plan was, and what you thought you might have done different to get on up and have a shot at the win here.
Yeah, definitely could have had a better restart there in that final restart. The caution actually kind of saved me because I was a little bit short on fuel there. I didn't account for having such a good pit stop and coming out in front and just being more in the gas than riding behind Kyle there. So it was actually a little short on fuel, and the caution kind of helped. But then, yeah, it was just a little chaos at the end, and didn't have the restart I was quite looking for.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm kind of curious that it seemed like you were the best car on pit in and pit out tonight. You took the lead from Stouffer early after being behind by about a second or so, and yeah, you kind of answered the question for me. But how difficult or how easy was it to stop here with that turn 3 entry rule at Nashville?
Yeah, it was different. We usually don't use the entries on the turns there to enter pit road, so I like it, and it was definitely a different challenge. I did a couple practice runs, so just to get comfortable with it, but it was definitely a time to be gained or lost there. So I think short pitting a couple laps early too with the fresh tires helped. So yeah, just wish it could have been a couple spots better, but always good to be on the podium.
I'll tell you what, you're going to leave here with a points lead over Kyle Clinworth. He winds up finishing in 9th position today. So you're going to go to Kansas with the points lead in 1 week's time. Congratulations on the podium run. You finish on the podium at P1. You get the microphone. Friends, family, sponsors, the floor is yours.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, some family watching tonight, and my teammate Larry tonight, and all the guys putting on the league here, and you guys putting on the show, and looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you, Ryan. Thank you so much for dropping in. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That is Ryan Kelly. Up next in second spot, it is our resident professional, Richie Hearn. Richie, you've got Murph, and you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
I'll tell you what, that's a good-looking hot rod. You were up front pretty much the entire time. We noted that you were going to have a pretty significant tire advantage in at the end. Did the yellows kind of foul up your strategy a little bit?
Not really. Honestly, I don't think I could have made it. Most of the time, and I was running a map 3, just kind of saving fuel. I was surprised at how much farther I could go on the fuel than everybody else. I don't know if they pitted early because of their tires, but my car was good. And honestly, it just came. I don't know what happened to Kyle. He just kind of just went flying into the wall, and then it really just came down to the hybrid. I burned it all on the backstretch, but then I had nothing coming off of 4, and maybe I should have waited. And either way, I'm happy.
Yeah, Richie, I contrary to what Murph's question was, I actually thought you were one of the strongest cars out front all day, simply because of your good pit stop there and going those 4 extra laps and keeping both Chris Stouffer and Ryan Kelly in your sight. So do you feel like you had a tire advantage at all, and all you really had to do was just not burn those tires up so much so that they equalize, and then you start to fall back, plus get through that lap traffic better, and perhaps if the race had stayed green, maybe you could have jumped them in further pit stops?
I was hoping I had the tire advantage. I went quite a bit farther than those guys, and I probably could have been a little more aggressive on the weight jacker early on, and I was just really just trying to just kind of hold my water a little bit. And like I said, I don't think the yellows really was going to impact anything. I was just trying to position myself just to be there near the end, and it kind of worked out. Like I said, the timing of the weight of my hybrid deployment maybe was a little off.
Well, there wasn't much off about your run today, Richie. You bring it home in second place. Kudos and congratulations on that. You've got the boss man in the chat sending his congratulations too. Jim Herrick joining us in the broadcast chat. So always good to be noticed from higher up, right? But you get the you get the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout them out, buddy. Floor is yours.
Definitely, obviously, thank Jim Herrick with 40 Racewear. He's a great guy and takes care of us. And sorry he wasn't feeling good to race tonight. And Yeah, I'm just happy to just have a clean race and just thank my girlfriend lets me do this, and I got a buddy Vinny who's watching it. He's really hardcore into watching these races, and you guys always do a good job. I'll watch it tomorrow, and we'll see what happens next time.
Absolutely, Richie. Well, thank you so much for dropping in. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. That is Richie Hearn. He runs second. Tonight's winner, AJ Hobson. AJ is the first two-time winner on the Area 51 season.
There we go.
It's even 20 seasons where they've been at this. AJ, great run tonight.
Thank you.
There was a bit of a kerfluffle in front of you there that allowed you to get position. What did you see and how did you avoid it?
Yeah, we were. I think you're referring to lap 125 with the lap cars.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we were coming into turn one. I saw some slower cars. Clindy was running the top, and I was going to take the bottom, and they just got all boggled up, and I saw a little bit of a gap out of two, and I just shot it and hoped Clindy wasn't coming down, and looked like he stayed high when I watched the replay, and that's honestly probably the only way I was able to get in the lead. Clindy had more pace than me throughout the whole race. I felt like I was chasing him and Ryan most of the day, so I was glad to see that. That last yellow, kind of crazy too, because I had to hold off Clindy there, and I'm just glad to get one under green flag. The Michigan win was a yellow flag win, so I think this one's a little more legit.
Hey,
Yeah,
just real quick, AJ, anytime you complete the advertised distance in the lowest elapsed time, doesn't matter whether it's under yellow or not. They all count the same, buddy. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, congrats, AJ, on the only repeat winner of the season, which is something that we don't really get to see too much here on P1 in these cars. But talk to everyone about when you go into these races. Again, this is my first time ever calling a Nashville race and really kind of watching one all together. So I was just kind of going along with what I was seeing on track and being guided by Murph a little bit. But these tracks where it's very, very difficult to pass, where it seems like it's only one groove and you really can't guess what the car ahead of you is doing. How do you plan a pit strategy, and how do you find those spots to get ahead of the guys that you're chasing when it's just so difficult to pass? And the only way you think you could do it is in the pit lane.
Yeah, the undercut was pretty strong. I felt like that was the way to go throughout the whole night, but I thought this was a great race. You had a group of fast cars up front. You kind of had other packs throughout the race, and the first two stops being green flag stops kind of caused a lot of good racing, I thought, and you could still kind of use that top line for some clean air when you needed. And yeah, I thought pit strategy was pretty important though with that undercut to kind of gain time on the track, and while the tires were still good, use those to an advantage to maybe get one here and there. But I mean, I thought I executed a good strategy. I was up front towards the end, and I had a good car to be able to make moves and kind of run wherever I wanted within that 1 to 2 groove in the corner. But now, great race. Had fun running with the boys. You guys, I'm sure, did a good broadcast, and I thought it was a fun race.
Absolutely, AJ. Well, thank you so much for stopping in. Congratulations on the trophy.
Appreciate it.
Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. You've got the mic.
Yeah, man, Dark Horse Racing. Like I always say when I get in here, we give a good crack at it each week, and we were able to get a couple of us in the top 5 tonight, so that was good. And got A-Hobbs Racing on the side there, BGT for Be Great today, and we were pretty good today, so that's all I can ask for.
There you go, man. Well, congratulations one more time on capturing the flag, AJ. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, boys.
Absolutely. That's AJ Hobson with the win tonight. Andrew, I keep saying it. It's these races are almost cerebral in a way. You've got different strategies working, different agendas, and it always winds up with a wild finish. Tonight was no exception.
Yeah, it was definitely a race that I had to kind of learn on the fly. I'm glad I picked up kind of what the trend of the race was. Everyone seemed to have the same outlook going into it. Middle of the race got a bit chaotic there, but it was all about adjustment. And the drivers that pivoted and did what they could to get some sort of advantage on cars they couldn't pass ahead did so. That was Clendy's race to lose, frankly, coming from 7th and being one of the fastest cars up there. And then just unfortunately, those slower cars, they always manage to play a factor. And when you think there might just be one slow car on track, or two slow cars on track, or three slow, they always manage to be right in front of you right when you're coming in. That's happened to me so many times in my racing career. You know that you're just going to find them right at the wrong moment, and if you choose wrong, that could really just be detrimental to your progress and everything. So very, very great racing there from Hobson to have the foresight to choose correctly there, and I'm glad we caught it on camera, or I caught it on camera, right, as we were going through the schedule there, because otherwise we might have been like, how did that happen, and been scurrying for it. So really, really great job by the drivers tonight. They put on a show for sure. That was a fun one to call, and we have our first repeat winner. So I can officially hang my hat on saying I'm not just some cursed guy who just has a different race winner every time I'm on mic.
I would never call you curse, Andrew. You're always a pleasure to be with. Always a pleasure to call a race with you. And you and I are going to get to call a lot more of these. You're going to be back. If you want to hear Andrew Wood in the booth, you're going to get to hear a lot of it. Coming up next on P1, it's going to be the Horizon IndyCar Series, 8 o'clock tomorrow night from Twin Ring Motegi. They'll be on the oval. The Formula Super Series will be on the road course at Motegi at 8:20. Thursday, it's the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. Friday, we'll have the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series live from the Charlotte Roval, same time, 8:20 pre-race, 8:30 start. The iRacing IndyCar Series, presented by 4D Racewear, will be back 1 o'clock Saturday for the opening round from Sebring. Sunday at 2, the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. Andrew Wood will be on the mic for that one at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the nightcap will be the Dark Horse DW12 Series, presented by 4D Racewear at 8. The Formula Super Series is going to have a special race from Talladega on Sunday night. They'll be going at 8:20. Monday night, it is the IndyCar Series Monday night top split from Phoenix. At 7, it's Championship Week on P1. That'll kick off with the IndyCar Open Series top split at 7 o'clock Monday night, followed by the Indy Next Road Series Monday night top split. They will be at Adelaide. Tuesday, it's another triple header, and that brings us 1 week from today. The IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night top split from Texas. The IndyCar Next Oval Series top split from Pocono. That's at 8:30. And at 9:30, we'll be right back here. Same time, same bad channel, the Area 51 IndyCar Series from Kansas. We do want to thank all of the people that make this possible. The competitors, the administration at the Area 51 IndyCar Series. Jim Herrick over at 4D Racewear for his support. But we'd also like to thank the people that really make it possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that drive the ambulance. And Andrew, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank the nurse that unloaded you when they got you there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, for the Horizon IndyCar Series live on P1. Good night, everybody.
Strap in, feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hat pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lane. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 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 it's different. Yeah.